Periva Sharanam. Today we are going to see the 7th sloka of Soundarya Lahari. Before that, we will be reciting the 6th sloka.
Dhanuh paushpam maurvi madhukaramayi panchavishikhaha vasantas samanto Malayamarudayo dhanarataha tathapyekas sarvam himagirisute kamapi krupam apangate labdva jagadidamanango vijayate. Kvanat Kanchi Dama, Kvanat Kanchi Dama, Kvanat Kanchi Dama, Karikalabhakumbhastananata, Karikalabhakumbhastananata, Karikalabhakumbhastananata. Parikshina madhye, Parikshina madhye, Parikshina madhye, Parinata Sharachandravadana, Parinata Sharachandravadana, Parinata Sharachandravadana. Dhanurbanan pasham, Dhanurbanan pasham, Dhanurbanan pasham, Srinimapi dadhana karatalaihi, Srinimapi dadhana karatalaihi, Srinimapi dadhana karatalaihi. Purastadastam naha, Purastadastam naha, Purastadastam naha, Puramathituraho purushika, Puramathituraho purushika, Puramathituraho purushika. Kvanat Kanchi Dama, Karikalabhakumbhastananata, Parikshina madhye, Parinata Sharachandravadana. Kvanat Kanchi Dama, Karikalabhakumbhastananata, Parikshina madhye, Parinata Sharachandravadana. Kvanat Kanchi Dama, Karikalabhakumbhastananata, Parikshina madhye, Parinata Sharachandravadana. Dhanurbanan pasham, Srinimapi dadhana karatalaihi, Purastadastam naha, Puramathituraho purushika. Dhanurbanan pasham, Srinimapi dadhana karatalaihi, Purastadastam naha, Puramathituraho purushika. Dhanurbanan pasham, Srinimapi dadhana karatalaihi, Purastadastam naha, Puramathituraho purushika. Kvanat Kanchi Dama, Karikalabhakumbhastananata, कुम्भस्तननता परीक्षीणा मध्ये परिणतशरच्चन्द्रवदना धनुर्बाणान् पाशं सृणिमपि दधाना करतलैः पुरस्तादास्तां नः पुरमथितुराहो पुरुषिका
क्वणत्काञ्चीदामा करिकळभकुम्भस्तननता परीक्षीणा मध्ये परिणतशरच्चन्द्रवदना धनुर्बाणान् पाशं सृणिमपि दधाना करतलैः पुरस्तादास्तां नः पुरमथितुराहो पुरुषिका क्वणत्काञ्चीदामा करिकळभकुम्भस्तननता परीक्षीणा मध्ये परिणतशरच्चन्द्रवदना धनुर्बाणान् पाशं सृणिमपि दधाना करतलैः पुरस्तादास्तां नः पुरमथितुराहो पुरुषिका.
Now let us see the meaning of the 7th shloka. This shloka gives the Swarupa Varnanai of Ambal. The beauty of Ambal is brought out by this shloka, and many of the descriptions that are given in Lalita Sahasranamam match with this Varnana given by Acharya. So, the form in which Ambal gave darshan to the Vagdevataigal who gave us the Lalita Sahasranamam, the same form Ambal gave darshan to Acharya. By this, we can say that big Mahans or Maharishis or great Siddha Purushas, these people get darshan of Ambal in the Lalita Parameshwari Swarupam. Even the Abhirami Bhattar, who gave us Abhirami Antadi in Tamil, also says this in his poem. The Rupam that he had darshan was Lalita Tripura Sundari. It is interesting to note that Abhirami Bhattar, who used to sing every day before Ambal in Tirukkadavur, and the Swarupa of Ambal there is that of Abhirami. And that Rupam of Ambal is different to Lalita Tripura Sundari. Periva highlights this difference in one of his discourses. He says that Tirukkadavur Abhirami does not have sugarcane bow, flower arrows, etc. in her hand. She is found with a Varamala or Abhayahastas and with Pundarikam, etc., which are the general architecture in Chola dynasty temples. Even though he belonged to that place and used to sing before Abhirami, when she gave darshan to Abhirami Bhattar or this Mahan, it was in the form of Lalita Tripura Sundari. This shlokam describes that Divya Rupam of Lalita Maha Tripura Sundari. So now let us go to the first line of the shloka. Kvanat Kanchi Dama Karikalabha Kumbhastananata. Here Kvanat means the sound made by small metal balls or the kinkinis found in our anklets, we say, that kind of balls. When we say this in Lalita Sahasranamam, we have two places which talks about Ambal's hip belt or Odyanam that we call in Tamil. They are Ranat Kinkini Mekhala and Ratnakinkinikaramya Rashanadama Bhushita. Here, Dama means a hip belt or a string tied in the hip. We call Krishna as Damodaran, that is, someone tied with a string in the hip. That happened when Yashoda did it when Krishna was doing a lot of mischief. We all know that story very well. So, Dama means a string that is tied in the hip. So, it can also be called as an ornament. No, it is the Udyanam that we call in Tamil. Sometimes this hip belt is also referred to as Kanchi. So the word Kanchi, first it has the meaning as hip belt itself, that has a lot of gungurus in it or chalankai, that makes a very nice beautiful sound. Like the gungurus that we wear in our anklets, this hip belt also has gungurus which makes a lot of sound when we walk. There is another word called mekhalai, which is just a hip belt. But if we say Kanchi, then it means that all precious stones and sound producing gungurus are added and tied along in the hip. So mekhalai means just a hip belt where there may be some precious stones that might be studded in it, but it does not produce any sounds because that gungurus are not added. But if we say it as Kanchi, those gungurus are added along with all these studded precious stones. When we say Kanchi, it also reminds us of our very special and auspicious Kanchipuram, which is said as the middle of this whole world. One more important thing that Periva highlights is that Acharya in this slokam again, as a hidden reference, gives the Adidevata of this sloka by using Kanchi Dama. He could have used any other word like Mekhalai or even Udyanam, which is used for referring a hip belt. But he uses this specific word Kanchi Dama. This is mainly to convey indirectly that he is referring to Kamakshi only here, and she is the Atidevata of this sloka Soundarya Lahari. It is also important to note that Kamakshi is the only Sparupam of Ambal which is exactly the same as described in the Sri Vidya Tantram of Lalita Parameshwari. We can understand the greatness of Kanchipuram and Kamakshi from this. The next words are Karikalabha Kumbhastananata. Karikalabha. Kalabha can be said as an elephant calf. Adding Kari is a very active, cute, and we can say a charming elephant calf or a baby elephant. Kumbha means a ghatam or a pot. So the whole word Karikalabha Kumbha means an elephant calf has a front head that looks like a small pot or ghatam, and this looks very beautiful for the calf, and it is generally used by the poets to illustrate the beautiful head of the elephants. Acharya uses this example of Karikalabha Kumbham to illustrate the beauty of Ambal's bosom. The next line is about her hips. Parikshina Madhye. Parikshina means exhausted or reduced to a great extent. Sometimes during our illness, we say that we have become very kshinam, which means we have become a lot reduced or very exhausted. Pari is an adjective meaning very much. Here it means that Ambal's hip is not just reduced, it is very much reduced. Lalita Sahasranamam also says about this in many places. It even goes one step further to say that it seems as if her hips are non-present. That is, you cannot find it at all. The Nama that describes it is Shatodari. It is also said that in Samutrika Lakshanas, Uttama Stris have kind of very, very small and fragile hips. The same thing is said by Acharya with Parikshina Madhye. Madhye means the portion of hips. The next words are Parinata Sharat Chandra Vadana. We know that Vadanam means face. Chandra Vadanam is a face that is like a moon. This is the usual or common comparisons that are used by various poets to describe the face of any woman who looks very beautiful. Her face is looking like the moon, so bright like a moon, etc. But here Acharya is not like any other ordinary poet. He compares the face not just to the moon, but to the moon that comes in the Sharat Rutu, Sharat Chandra Vadana. Sharat Rutu is a very enjoyable time when there is not much of heat and not also very extreme cold conditions. It is the shifting period from summer to winter. So the whole place is filled with a chillness that is enjoyable by all life forms. That is why we celebrate the Sharan Navaratri during this Rutu. The moon that comes during that Sharat Rutu looks very bright, very white and full of that beauty and very soothing cold. Even the clouds are not heavy, but they are dark, but they don't rain. In that period, you will be able to see the moon more clearly and it will be shining bright and cool. So Acharya says, Ambal's face is like moon, but not an ordinary moon, but a moon that we can find on the Sharat Rutu. But he doesn't stop there, but he says that it is a full moon, that too on a Sharat Rutu. How do we know it is a full moon? Parinata. He has given that word Parinata. So, which means it is a fully developed moon. Such is the beauty of Ambal's face, which is like the full moon on the Sharat Rutu. It not only signifies the outward beauty, but the waves of karuna or compassion that flows out of that beautiful face is expressed by the comparison, and we can say that anyone will be mesmerized and will not be able to take their eyes away from her beautiful face. This is the second line. Here, though Sharat and Chandra are two separate words, when we say them together, it becomes Sharat Chandra, where there is a cha in between when pronounced. Next line, Dhanurbanan Pasham Srinimapi Dadhana Karatalaihi. Karatalaihi is a forearm or palms. Dadhana is holding. So, Ambal is holding something in her hands or palms. What is she holding? Dhanuhu, that is the bow. Banaha, that is arrows. Pasham is Pasham, we all know. And then Shrini. Shrini Mapi, that is along with Shrini. What is Shrini? It is the Ankusham. So this says that she has 4 hands and she is holding these four things respectively. Dhanurbanan Pasham Srinimapi. If we observe all these things she is holding, we can find that it exactly matches the description provided in Lalita Sahasranamam. Chaturbahu Samanvita Ragaswarupa Pashadhya Krodhakarang Kushojjvala. So exactly the same things are also given by Acharya. Now we can understand that Acharya is referring to none other than Lalita Parameshwari or Kamakshi. Now we will go to the fourth line. Purastad astam naha puramathitu raho purushika. Now for us to better understand this line, we will arrange or rearrange this line in prose order. That is, Puramatitu Raho Purushika Purastat Astam Naha. We are putting the second half first, then the other words after that. Puramatitu. In this, Pura means the Tripurams or the Tripurasuras abode. Matitu is the destroyer of these Tripurasuras or Tripurams. So the destroyer of Tripurams or Tripurasuras is who? It is Parameshwara. The last shloka, we saw the story of how Parameshwara destroyed the Tripurasuras with just a smile. Though he took very powerful apparatus and army, etc., he just thought that Maha Parashakti is within him, and when she is there with him, what else is required? And he smiled thinking of that. That ahankaram that Shiva had is called as Aho Purushika. We should not understand here that ahankaram as arrogance. No, it's something like negative on that part. But it has to be considered as a confidence or the certainty with which Parameshwara thought that Maha Parashakti is within him, and with that thought itself or with that ahankaram he was able to destroy the Tripurasuras. So it is not to be understood as ego or arrogance in a negative way. That is, the feeling that Ambal is inside him is called as Aho Purushika. So we can say that here Ambal is in the form of Shiva's ahankaram. So that is the form or the actual rupam of the Parashakti that is given in the first three lines, which describes her rupam, her beauty, what she is wearing, like the Kanchi, and then what she is having in her four hands, and all this denotes to that form of Ambal which is Lalita Maha Tripura Sundari. Then finally he says Purastat Astam Naha. In this, Naha is for all of us, whoever is there in this world. It's like a collective, all of us. Acharya is praying to Ambal to come before all our eyes and bless us, that is to give us darshan. Purastat Astam. Purastat is before our eyes or before us. Astam means to give darshan to or to reveal herself and to give her blessings. Here we can see that he prays not only for him. He could have easily said that, please show your divine form to me and only to me. But instead, with so much of karuna on all of us, he prays for us. And what does he pray for? To have a glimpse of the divine form of Ambal, and that too for all of us. Let this Parashakti with such beautiful face like the Sharat Chandran, who has a very small ways that she can be called as Shatodari, who resides inside Parameshwara as his Ahankaram, reveal herself and give darshan and blessings to all of us, that is to the entire population. This is the prayer of Adi Shankaracharya. With his blessings and with staunch bhakti and devotion and sharanagati to Ambal, we can at least have this divine Rupa Darshanam, maybe someday in our dreams at least. Let us pray Perival to bless us with that bhakti and devotion. Periva Sharanam.